Hello, this is Blake Leapart, and I am the president of the USC-Aiken Alumni Association, and I'd like to welcome everybody in on this Alumni Town Hall meeting. The purpose of this meeting is to kind of get everybody updated on what the university is doing in response to the COVID-19 issues that are going on, and also for alumni to get engaged as well as ask questions. We have several of our university leadership, senior leadership on this call, and I'm going to have them introduce themselves in just one moment, but we are going to end at about 10 till 7 p.m. tonight. So if there are any further questions that we don't get to answer, what we will do is you can email those in to the alumni@usca.edu email. Again, that's alumni@usca.edu email account, and we will answer those. There will also be some sort of transcript, for lack of a better word, or meeting minutes that'll be sent out to everybody that participated to distribute with answers and whatnot. So that's kind of what the format is. So with that being said, I'll let the university leadership kind of introduce themselves, starting with Dr. Jordan.
Hi, Blake. It's wonderful to see your pixels.
Thank you.
I'm Sandra Jordan. I'm the Chancellor of USC-Aiken.
Hello, everyone. I'm Darren Timmons. I'm the Provost and Executive Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs. Good to see you tonight.
I'm Ahmed Samaha. I'm the Vice Chancellor for Student. Sorry, Cam.
Go ahead.
I'm Ahmed Samaha. I'm the Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs.
I'm Cam Reagan. I'm Vice Chancellor for Finance and Administration.
I'm Ernest Pringle, Vice Chancellor for Information Technology.
And Mary Driscoll, Vice Chancellor for Advancement and External Affairs.
Hi there, Jim Hurley, Director of Athletics.
And I'm Marissa Collins, and I work with Alumni Relations.
All right, perfect. Thank you all. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with Dr. Jordan. Will take about 10 minutes to share of some of the new ways that we are doing business since COVID-19. I've had several alumni as well as parents of students contact me in March and early April about the university's response to COVID. So this is the time for Dr. Jordan to kind of give us an update on what's going on. So Dr. Jordan, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Blake, and hi, everybody. As you know, we were on spring break March 8th through the 15th, and in about the middle of that week, we determined that we needed to extend spring break to get a better feel for how the pandemic was impacting our part of the country. Very soon into the next week, we realized that we needed to go to some kind of virtual instruction. So I cannot tell you how proud I am that within a week's time, the faculty and staff pivoted and put all of their classes on some sort of remote learning, some online, some did it other ways, but so that students could continue to join their faculty members and earn credit for their classes and continue that work. Meanwhile, the staff was putting all the support services that they normally offer face-to-face, such as for the faculty advising, but for the staff, it was everything from the writing center to the mathematics lab, our counseling center, all tutoring, everything had to be shifted. The library services, all the support services we provide to our students needed to be shifted into a different format. It was a huge task, and I cannot tell you how pleased and proud I was that our student first ethos was reflected in how quickly people responded, nobody complaining. Among the faculty and staff who had to do all of this extra work, just getting the job done trying to serve our students well. I think we sort of hit a pace, if you will, since we're the Pacers, but hit a pace and working remotely a couple of weeks into it. Then we started thinking about how we needed to reach out to every student. So we started something called Operation Outreach. And we started reaching out to every freshman, now every sophomore. And before we get to the point of commencement, normally would have been in May, we will have had a personal conversation with every freshman, sophomore, and junior who is enrolled at the university. And so that's a huge project going on. We increased the amount of communications going out to students. Ahmed and his team have been doing that. I'm sure he'll speak to it. And we increased the amount of communications going out to faculty and staff. We made sure counseling services were available as well, because we know that the pandemic has caused additional stresses among our student body, our faculty, our students, staff as well, and sense of isolation and questions about how things, how they stay connected. So counseling services has been continuing to operate through all of this. We're now starting to think about how we come back together. The governor will make the decision when institutions can reopen, but at that point, we need to think about whether we have the right safety things in place. One of the things Cam Reagan and his team did at the very beginning is they started hospital level sanitation of spaces. This is an extra contract that we took on. And it was along with some additional technology that we needed to layer on to make sure our infrastructure could support everything going to remote education. This extra cleaning will continue, no doubt, into the fall as well. And that's because we have lots of public spaces, sort of gathering spaces. We want to make sure that as students start to return to campus, that we can maintain a level of cleanliness that will help support a flat line on the COVID-19 reemerging. All of us, no matter where you work or what you're doing or how you're planning to reopen, have to be concerned about safety and security and health, because there is no vaccine and we're a year away from a vaccine. So we're doing exactly that. We're thinking about how we come back, how we respond. We hope to have 24-hour rapid point of contact testing by the time that fall semester opens again, so that we can track student health, identify anyone who comes down with the COVID-19 virus, isolate them immediately, and begin the tracing and tracking to see what kind of contacts they have had. So if we can mitigate the disease with rapid testing, we feel like there are other things we will put in place, but that we will be opening up again in the fall for classes. And we're waiting for our academic partners in this to make some suggestions about the timeline. So we're working very, very closely with DHEC and CDC, but also with the Arnold School of Public Health and with the medical colleges in our system. One of the nice things about being part of a system is we have extended expertise at our fingertips. I'm meeting once a week with our experts, virologists and epidemiologists within the system. They're keeping us advised on all the new updates. As you know, COVID-19 is called novel COVID-19, and it's because it's a brand new virus. And so as we watch other countries emerging from this, as time passes, our scientists and our medical community learn more and more about it. And it's nice to be part of a system where we get that information immediately. So we're working on the comeback, and we're continuing right now to complete our semester. So we're starting finals pretty soon, and then we hope to have a commencement exercise delayed a little bit, but on August the 15th.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Jordan. We really appreciate that. At this time, I want to open it up to any questions that we may have out there. So I'll open it up to any questions. You can submit those in and we will address them live.
While we're waiting for questions, it might be great to hear from academic affairs and student affairs and what Mary has been doing to create some wonderful support initiatives. So maybe Darren will talk a little bit about academic affairs, and we'll do that while questions are coming in, if that's okay with you, Blake.
Yes, that will work. Thank you.
Great. Glad to give an update. We have finished classes for the semester. Woohoo! We're, of course, right in the beginnings of final exams, and we are cheering on our students as much as we can, and our faculty and our staff. It certainly has been a challenging end of the semester. I'll echo Dr. Jordan's sentiments about how proud and I am of our faculty and our staff as they have done what we had not anticipated, of having to completely flip what they're doing in the middle of the semester. That of course has been a great benefit to our students, even though there have been challenges related to that. So students, if you're out there, we appreciate all that you've done to make this a good transition as well. Alumni, be glad that you had that normal process. And we have heard from students they've never wished so much that they could just go back to class. So that's a good thing to hear from them. Excitingly, a lot of the comments have been about how much they value those personal relationships with faculty and staff, and the relationships that they have with their fellow students inside the classroom. Recognizing what we do very well is engage our students in the disciplines that they're studying, for their own growth. So we are excited to continue that process, whether it be modified for the fall semester. We certainly are modifying things for the summer. Our summer one, our Maymester and our summer one sessions have been put all online as we still wait and see how the coronavirus impacts us through the summer. We still have a few face-to-face events and summer research scheduled during summer two. We're hopeful that we'll be able to do that, but we're still waiting to make that decision. Summer is a great time for our students to do investigations in the laboratory or in the field, work one-on-one with faculty members on important projects, and we're hopeful to be able to continue that as well. As we get into the fall, the Student Life Facebook page has been a fun place of students saying, hey, I'm a new freshman, I'm coming in. Anybody want to be friends? Hey, who wants to be a roommate? I'm going to be a nursing major. I'm going to be an exercise sports science major. So there's a lot of positivity around the upcoming fall semester. I know there's a lot of uncertainty as well, and we are working really hard to come up with the best plan. What do we need to modify, if any? Dr. Jordan has already mentioned about some of the health health improvements that we're talking about, or navigating those areas. But what about on the instruction side? How do we make sure that we continue to offer this world-class education? I'll tell you, we are up for the challenge and engaged all the way through. So we are very much looking forward to getting back to whatever that new normal is for the fall semester.
All right. Thank you very much, Darren. I appreciate that update. Before we get to Cam or Ahmed to give a brief update, we did get a question in from Sarah Keeling. She wants to know, how are students that may live in rural areas or that may be of lower social economic status being supported in order to meet technological requirements of online learning? So
I'm happy to answer that if you'd like. So a couple of things happened very early on. One, we partnered with K through 12. They have buses that go into we actually have a map of the region and where there is low connectivity. So they have buses with hotspots in them, and they go and park in various areas. They announce it publicly. And we let our students know about those hotspots on wheels, so to speak, if they wanted to utilize those. We've had students who were driving in and sitting in our parking lots, being very safe, and separated from others, but picking up our Wi-Fi. We also had about 76 students who chose to stay on campus with us in our residence life and our residence halls. Many of the ones who made that decision because they knew they had a hard time connecting in rural areas. They're very well aware of whether at home they have good connectivity or not. We loaned out many, many machines. Students can come and pick up a computer and take it with them for the semester. We also kept our computer labs open through this whole thing, making sure that there was appropriate social distancing, but providing opportunities for students to come in and use the computer labs. Some of them had special software they needed. Some students just wanted a place where they could work. We also coordinated as a system. So if we had someone who was, out somewhere in Lexington County and was having difficulty, we partnered so that they could go into an institution closer to them and utilize their Wi-Fi and so forth. And it's another time when having institutions in our system across the entire state was a real plus, and something other schools didn't have was this opportunity to allow others. I know we had several students who were from Columbia who came to us to work in our computer labs. So it was one of the ways we made sure that our students were supported. Our students received messages from Ahmed's office and also from IT about how they could get a computer or get connected to a hotspot. We loaned out hotspots if they needed one at home. So we did everything we could possibly think of to make sure that there was no disparity based on economic incomes or status or anything like that, that it was an opportunity for everybody to learn remotely. I'm happy if anyone else has something I've forgotten to say on that one.
All good. All right. Thank you, Dr. Jordan. And thank you, Sarah, for submitting in that question. So while we wait for additional questions to come in, I'll kind of turn it over to Cam Reagan, Vice Chancellor for Business and Finance. I know Dr. Jordan hit on some of the things that your office has done, but did you want to share anything additional with our alumni?
Cam, you're muted. Cam, you're muted.
And unfortunately, for whatever reason, my space bar was not working. Sorry about that. Yes, as Dr. Jordan mentioned, the very first reaction that our division had was to address the cleaning and disinfecting of campus on a campus-wide basis initially. Since we've gone to more remote operations and more folks working from home, what we've tried to do is identify areas of campus that we can close down so that we don't have to repeat the deep cleaning. We close them off, essentially put fencing over the door, plastic fencing, just to kind of keep people out, let people know that that's an area that's been cleaned and needs to stay so. And we're currently in conversations with our custodial services provider to determine what that's going to look like going forward as we do begin to return to more normal operations. What will that mean for us from a cost perspective? Right now, they've been very good partners with us. They're taking into account the fact that they're not having to do a lot of the normal cleaning and setup operations that they do, and they're replacing those activities with the deeper level of clean that is being required. And quite honestly, they're appreciative of the fact that we're helping them keep some of their people employed. So that was just the first component of what we've gotten into. We, of course, are now, we took a look at our housing and our meal plan operations. Obviously, with students no longer here, it didn't make sense to compel them to pay for our facilities and our dining hall usage if they're having to live somewhere else and eat somewhere else. So we went through a process of coming up with a refund methodology at the request of the governor. We've issued those refunds to students. With the passage of the CARES Act, we will have some federal aid coming to us that will remediate some of those refunds, and also some of that funding will be made available to assist us in some of these incremental costs that we've experienced, like the additional technology and so forth. Also, I'm sure you've all heard by now, a substantial portion of those funds will also be earmarked as relief aid for students. In conversations and in coordination with our enrollment management folks in our financial aid office, we are in the process of determining what that aid distribution will look like and passing those funds through to our students to assist them in defraying some of the expenses that they're experiencing as a result of having to go back home. And then in our spare time, we're trying to figure out what this means for us budgetarily, both this year and, of course, looking in the next year. What will it look like if we're online for half the semester, or if we bring half the students back now and the other half back later? What will that mean for not just our tuition and for our classroom instruction, but what will that mean for our housing and food service operations? So we have a lot of balls in the air, a lot of things going on from a financial perspective, but we've got a good group here who are working together locally. We're also in conversation with folks both in Columbia at the system level and across the state as far as what things might look like, how we can plan and coordinate our operations, and just share information across institutions as far as what we're seeing in terms of enrollment projections going forward. So like everyone else, we may be working remotely, but we still have a lot going on.
All right, thank you so much, Cam, for that update. We really appreciate it. Before we get to Ahmed for a student life update, we did receive another question. I believe this one will be for Mr. Jim Hurley, our athletic director. This is from Michael Mitchell. He's asking, how about students from out of state, in particular student athletes? What did you do for those individuals who may not have been able to return home?
Thank you for that question. We did have a number of athletes that were unable to return home, primarily some of our international students. There were travel bans and things in place that prohibited them from doing so. We work very closely with Mr. Samaha's division, the Student Affairs, to make sure that those students would have an opportunity to remain housing if they could. There are several that live in apartments in Aiken. And what we've done with them, as well as with all of our student athletes, because so many of them traveled home, whether it's across the country or back home to another country, is we, as part of the Operation Outreach that we've had on campus, we've been reaching out to each of our student athletes, our student managers, and our student workers on a weekly basis, and doing Microsoft Teams video calls with each of our teams each week, so that wherever they are, they can all interact with each other and share information. So it's been the health effect or the health impact has been really important. And I am proud to say that no matter what countries, and I think we have 25 states and 15 different countries that are represented in athletics, all of our student athletes have remained safe. And thankfully, to date, nobody has contracted the virus.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Hurley. We appreciate that. And thank you for the question, Michael. Really appreciate the question. All right, as we continue to get questions in, I'll transition to Mr. Ahmed Samaha, who is our Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs, if he'd like to give us an update on what his department has been doing in response to COVID.
Yeah, thank you, Blake. So we have been doing quite a bit, and some of folks have mentioned some of the efforts by our housing department, as well as our counseling center, who is doing some remote counseling and remote outreach. The rest of the division has really stepped up their visual programming. Health and wellness area has been doing daily tips on social media, not just about workouts, but also how to manage your mental health, ways that you can study from home, be successful from home, juggle the stresses that this pandemic has offered. We have really worked at making sure that our current students are feeling connected. We have student government elections virtually. We hosted several town halls with a senior cabinet and student government executive. We really stepped up some of the fun activities we do on social media where students can weigh in and vote on different things. I think our most important focus throughout our division has been touching our students and making sure that they're doing okay. This has been a difficult transition for some of them. Parents losing jobs and them losing jobs, financial uncertainty, siblings that are now home because they can't go to school. So we've really been doing daily outreach to students to make sure that they are have the support that they need in order to be successful. I'm very proud how quickly our division kind of transitioned to this virtual environment. We had a couple hiccups along the way, figuring out how to get Zoom calls to student leaders and things like that. Our IT department has been very helpful in helping us maintain those connections. It has been, strangely, we have been more busy without students on campus than we are when students are on campus. I think that's because we all feel this extra obligation to reach out to students and make sure they're doing okay. So we're very much looking forward to the summer. We're still debating options for orientation, whether they might be virtual. We're very much looking forward to an August commencement if health conditions continue to improve. And we are very much looking forward to having students back on campus in the fall if everything goes according to plan. I think we all have learned how much we appreciate face-to-face interactions, opportunities to really engage students without a TV monitor in the middle of it. So I'll turn it back over to Blake, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
All right. Thank you so much, Ahmed, for that update. Really appreciate it. So as questions are continuing to come in, if anybody's got a question, feel free to post it. To give you kind of an update on what your alumni board has been doing before we get into the alumni engagement piece, the alumni board has met last week as a full board, and we are planning homecoming for next year events as well as fall events. So we are still virtually meeting. We are still trying to raise funds for the scholarships that we give out to current students, and also plan some newer homecoming events for the alumni to enjoy to come back on February the 6th of 2021. So we are still engaged with that. And to give you a little bit more details on what's going on to get our alumni engaged, I'll turn it over to Miss Mary Driscoll. She is our Vice Chancellor for Advancement and External Affairs.
Thank you, Blake. And I want to thank everybody that's out tonight listening to us, and appreciate that you are a proud Pacer and want to know more about what's going on with the university and your alma mater. I am actually going to give a big shout out to Blake and to Marissa. As you may well know, Randy Duckett, who was the alumni director, retired back at the end of December. So we have been in a search. We continue a search. We might name an interim director, but I wanted to give Blake and Marissa really a shout out because they've been doing yeoman's work to make sure that alumni are engaged to the fullest extent. As Ahmed said, you know, the communication is so key. So we've tried to make sure that alumni are engaged. We, you know, the newsletters that are coming out to you, we're trying to do them more frequently. We have the town hall meeting tonight. We also have a couple feel-good campaigns, if you will. One, and we'd love to have your help with that. One of them is the HOPE campaign, and it was initiated by the students and Dr. Jordan. HOPE, the acronym that stands for Hang On, Pandemics End. And you might have seen some of these signs around the campus or in town, or maybe even in your neighbor's yard. So we have that. We also have t-shirts. Let me see if I can hold this up so you can see it. So hang on, pandemics end, but stay Pacer strong. So it's out on social media. You might have seen it on Facebook. You might have seen it from one of your friends that liked it or shared it. Again, it's a feel good. We want the community and our alumni to know that we're out here. We're going strong with the university, but we still need your help. The second campaign that I'd like to talk about is the Pacer Heroes. And so again, alumni, our students, the community, anybody who's working out there in the front lines as far as COVID-19, we really want to recognize you. And I would love to have your help. If you know of folks, if you know of a spouse, of a family member, a friend who is out there, please send them in. And again, that's at alumni.usca.edu. We do have some other engagement opportunities, and I wanted to turn it over to Marissa because she can talk about a couple of those going forward as well.
Before Marissa does that, Mary, you might want to tell folks where they can download the Hope sign. They can just copy it on their copy machine or print it out.
Sure.
Put it in the back window of their car.
Thank you, Dr. Jordan. Yes, if you go to our homepage, you have a link right there on the homepage for both Pacer Heroes and the Hope campaign. And from there, you can download that, and would love to see alumni have those signs in their windows, in their cars, wherever, wherever they're going. So it has been, we had a gentleman call today, no affiliation with the university, but was driving by and loved the sign so much he called and he wants one. So he's going to come and pick one up. We have, with the yard signs, we don't have a lot, but we have about 20 more. We have 30 out there. We have another load that's coming, but if any of you would like them, again, please just let Marissa or myself know and we can get those to you. Okay, Marissa, do you want to share a little bit more about upcoming events for alumni?
Hang on. I'm sorry, Marissa. Sorry, we had one question dealing with the Hope shirt that I wanted to address. This is from Casey Lundeen. Can alumni not in the area purchase a Hope shirt and have it shipped?
So we had our first 100 kind of distributed around with our students and our staff, but I think that's something we can take a look at. Casey, I will get your information and I'll make sure I call you after the meeting. So yeah, we'll probably have to order some more because there's a lot of people out there right now that want some.
Okay. Thank you, Mary. And without further ado, I'll introduce Marissa now that we've cut her off a couple of times. But this is Marissa, who is administrative assistant and one of the hardest working executive alumni board members we have. So I'll turn it over to Marissa.
Well, thank you, Blake. So unfortunately, with the spring semester, we did have to postpone or cancel some of our events. However, we are excited that we do have a new date for our annual Alumni Golf Classic. The new date will be Monday, November 2nd. It still will be at the Reserve Club at Woodside. We have player and sponsorship opportunities available, and it's not just for alumni. Anyone can come out and play with us. It's usually a really good event. And then, like Blake said, we also have homecoming, and we've already started planning. It will be Saturday, February 6th. The alumni board is coming up with some great new ideas for this year, and we hope to release those to you guys within the next upcoming months. Also, what will be really exciting about that year is it will be our 60th anniversary. So we're looking to kind of tie that into homecoming as well as some other events going on throughout the year. And we would love to get some suggestions on how to celebrate from alumni. So if you have any ideas, let us know. Contact the alumni office and we'll start working on them.
All right. Thank you, Marissa. We did get an anonymous question in. The question is, knowing that spring commencement has been rescheduled for August 15th, what is the university doing to make May 6th, which would be the normal graduation day for our seniors, special to them?
I can take that, Blake. So our marketing team, and again, when you talk about shout outs, I really want to give a shout out to our marketing and communications team. We have been going strong. We're working 12, 14-hour days, making sure that our communications are going out not only to our external constituents, but also internally. May 6th, was the original date of graduation, and the marketing team is putting together a combination of events that are going on. They will all be virtual. One is specific to the graduation itself. So Dr. Jordan, Dr. Timmons, all of our deans. It's kind of like a mini virtual commencement, if you will, or convocation. And then we also have our senior shout outs. We have our outstanding student who will be on there. I know, Blake, I know you've given a shout out to our seniors as they graduate. We also have, what was I going to say? I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. We also have a lot of, again, recognition of our seniors. It's just a special day for them, and we did not want it to go by without really recognizing them in a special way. So I hope that all of you, the video will be available, and, you know, again, I hope that all of you will watch it, join it, and if you can come to August 15th, that would be great as well. And I remembered what I was going to say is it's also Pacer Day. We have a proclamation coming from Mayor Rick Osmond, who is one of our alums. And we have decided, because it is such a special day and because our class of 2020 is such a special class, that we are recognizing May 6th as Pacer Day. So.
And Ahmed's been preparing, we give awards to our outstanding students in the spring, and we didn't want to miss that either. Ahmed, you want to talk about what you're doing to recognize our outstanding students?
Yeah, so we were very excited about doing a virtual banquet this year where we handed out our annual leadership awards, everything from the Robert E. Alexander Leadership Hall of Fame to the New Student Leader Award to the Center of the Year. And we actually just released that video yesterday. It looks terrific. One of our assistant directors did a great job. Dr. Jordan helped us with that. But we are doing a social media campaign as well to recognize those winners. And we have sent links to parents and things like that so they can kind of see the awarding of the award to their student. Obviously, that all happened virtually, but it was kind of a fun, unique way to do that and a little bit different. And we were glad that we got to celebrate some of our outstanding seniors.
You know, Blake, if we could, I'd like to have Ernest Pringle. He's our CIO, information chief IT person. And one of the whole groups of unsung heroes are behind the scenes. And that's the folks who make the technology run. Especially when we move to remote learning.
Yes, absolutely. So, Mr. Pringle, if you would give us an update, that'd be great.
Sure. Thanks, Blake, and thank you, Dr. Jordan. We really hit the ground running when the switch was flipped to go online. Fortunately for us, a lot of the systems were already in place, but they hadn't been tested under fire like they are being tested now. For example, our Zoom implementation that we put in place last summer to help with some of the distance education classes that we're teaching in Salkehatchie. We're now using it for this town hall and some of the other things that we've been doing around campus. So we're proud of that, proud of our Microsoft Teams implementation that have been really well received by our faculty, staff, and some students. A couple of things that Dr. Jordan mentioned earlier about ways we're supporting our students that may be trying to connect with us remotely. One of the things that I'm really proud of, in addition to the efforts she mentioned, was how we were able to make our computer labs available remotely. So if you are able to connect remotely to the internet, you can actually connect to our computer labs and all the software that a lot of it is cost prohibitive for people to own the software. But our students are now able to connect to those classrooms remotely and take advantage of that software. So that's something that's been well received and a point of pride for my team and me. So those things and a lot of late night chats and a lot of scrambling. We've learned a lot, but we've also taken advantage of the technology that's in place. So we feel good about our implementations and actually now we're looking forward to being back on campus and getting back to normal.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Pringle. We appreciate that. We did get another anonymous question in. Some alumni may have been adversely impacted by COVID-19. Are there any resources on campus alumni may be able to take advantage of?
This is probably a great opportunity for Mary to talk a little bit more about our emergency fund that she's been putting together.
Sure.
If you would, Mary.
Sure. And I wasn't sure if by resources you meant financial or maybe, you know, an alum who might have lost his or her position. So a couple things. We have our career services. So for those alumni, and I hope that all of you that are listening tonight are employed and doing well and healthy and safe. But if you know of somebody who might have lost his or her job, and is an alum, Corey Feraldi of our career services is here to help as well. And he actually can set up Zoom appointments. So we can get you that information. As Blake said, we'll have a transcript that will go out to all alumni after tonight. As far as financial relief, we do have students that are in need. We also have incurred some extraordinary expenses along the way. So we have a PACER relief fund, and we have been out there. Again, it's gone out to alumni, to our donors, and to our Aiken Partnership Board today. But if you know of somebody who may want to give, if they're in a position to give and would like to help us, the university, our students during this time, if you would like to call the advancement office at 803-641-3448, or if you'd like to talk to myself or Judith Goodwin or Robin Calicott, who are our gift officers, we'd be more than happy to speak with you. So thank you.
I would like to add that the campus has been very focused on food insecurity. This has been something that we've looked at from multiple points of view. And we now have on the campus a blessing box that might not have been here when you were a student. That blessing box, it has food in it that you can just drive up, open up the box, take what you need. And that is replenished pretty much weekly, I think still. Right before we had to shift to a very different way of doing business, Ahmed Samaha and his team were working on some additional food opportunities after having, for example, some kind of catered event on the campus, allowing students who have let us know that they are concerned about having nutritious foods available, that they could receive a text saying, we have food available, please come here and you can pick it up. And so we've been very focused on what we can do in relationship to food insecurity, and that is open to anyone in the community. As far as the blessing box goes, that's open to anyone in the community. If there are other ways that you can think of that we might be able to be helpful to alumni who may be in a difficult situation, please know that we're very open to hear what kind of assistance we can provide. We want to instill in all of our students, and of course, if we do that, we want to walk the walk, and that is how to be a good citizen, how to be a member of our community, particularly in this time of need. I know that we had some members of families of our students affected by the tornadoes recently. Again, Ahmed mobilized our Student Government Association, and we were out trying to raise materials for homes, clothing, emergency relief for those individuals as well. We consider our alums part of the PACER family, and let us know what kind of issues you may have seen or witnessed or are facing, so that we can think through our own resources and how we can be a good citizen.
Thank you, Dr. Jordan. We probably have time for 2 more questions. We did get one anonymous question in. Again, this will probably be for Mr. Hurley, our athletic director, but what is the plan for the fall sports program and sports resuming in the fall semester?
Thank you, Blake. At this time, our plan is to proceed with our NCAA Intercollegiate Athletic Program just the way we normally would. Obviously, we're being very cognizant of what the health officials are telling us, and then working with NCAA staff as well as our Peach Belt Conference staff to make sure that as we move forward, we're doing everything that will keep our student athletes, our spectators, and the folks that work those games as safe as possible. We really understand the communal effect of having some of those games and opportunities for us to gather and join as Pacers again next year. But right now, if everything keeps proceeding the way we hope it does, we'll be on our normal schedule for the fall.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Hurley. So I'll start to wrap up here. And if we do have probably time for one more question. So as I start to wrap up, if one pops in, we'll try to address it. But from the Alumni Board perspective, I just want to say a very big personal thank you to Dr. Jordan, Mr. Darren Timmons, Mr. Cam Reagan, Ms. Mary Driscoll, Mr. Ahmed Samaha, Mr. Jim Hurley, Ms. Marissa Collins, Mr. Ernest Pringle for being on tonight. I know it's no small feat to put something like this together, and want to thank the IT department at the university, Keith Pierce and James Grigsby, for also putting this together. So thank you so much for reaching out to alumni and taking the time to do so. So I haven't seen another question come in. So Dr. Jordan, I'll kind of turn it over to you if you want to kind of close us out.
Thank you very much. You know, one of the things that we're focused on as a university is, while this is a crisis and the pandemic has had some very negative impacts on individuals, organizations, companies, universities, and so forth, we're trying to learn from it. And so we're trying to determine, and we're staying very alert to how we can improve as an institution, whether it's an infrastructure issue, whether it's how we communicate, and just whatever. Where are the opportunities that we can find in this crisis? And I've been really quite pleased with the leadership of the university, looking for those opportunities that this crisis is bringing to us to do what we do better and identify those areas where we can make improvements. So we hope that that as we come out of this and as we continue forward in the future, that we will have learned a lot during this crisis, and that we will have improved a lot as an institution as a result of this crisis. So we're looking for those silver linings and places where we can learn from this very disturbing pandemic that's impacting lives and, of course, our organization. We also want to continue to be focused on our community. You know, when our students come back, we have a huge impact on the town around us, the community around us. And so to be good community partners and good community members is so important, particularly during a pandemic. So thank you all for taking time. And Blake, we so appreciate all that the Alumni Association does for this university.
No problem, Dr. Jordan. For alumni listening, feel free, like I said at the beginning, to, if you have additional questions or need to reach out to us at the Alumni Board, please submit your questions to alumni@usca.edu. That email is monitored daily, so we will be sure to answer any questions you have. If you need to get in touch with any of the board members, we're here to help you. So thank you, Dr. Jordan. We and all the university leaders, we really appreciate you being on tonight. All right. Thank you all. Be safe. Have a nice evening. Thank you.
Go Pacers.